Hello and welcome to another pub chat here on the Captain's Table Podcast. The Captain's Table Podcast is I forgot to turn that one off. We did raise some money on Gamers Outreach, but I'll leave it in a moment. The pub chat is a call-in show where I take in people from all over the Star Citizen universe who have opinions about one specific topic. But the Captain's Table itself is a podcast that's been going on for about 9 years, covering Star Citizen development, news, lore, news, and more, with a variety of content creators throughout the years. But because I've known a lot of folks have strong opinions about anything we talk about when we do those shows, I started doing these call-in shows about a couple of months ago, and they proved very popular. So this one is going to be on engineering. If you are live watching us, you can join the discussion by going to the Discord. That's the Astropub Discord. If you look in the description, you can find that if you're on YouTube, and if you're on Twitch, !Discord will give you that link. It should also be in the sort of tabs below. And then join the stage. Make sure you go through the signups. Make sure you sign in properly when you agree to sign in, and then join the stage. Once you've joined the stage, I will put you in the queue for people discussing. So, without any further ado, we're going to pull in the first person, who is Jokero. I'm going to pull you up here. I have my ears on, make sure I can actually hear you. Everything's unmuted. That's good. I'm going to invite you to speak. Hey, Jokero.
Hello.
So,
how you doing?
Doing good. Your thoughts on engineering in general?
In general, the most anticipated thing in Star Citizen at this point, I believe, that we don't have. It's the lifeblood of the idea of the multi-crew dream that brought so many people like me to this game, I believe, because right now it's just fly ship, shoot gun, and there needs to be something else. And I think this is it.
So it'd be safe to say that you think it's a good thing.
It's a very good thing. I think that it's going to give the game its distinct identity and among space games in that regard.
Okay. The question I have then is, how would you counter for folks who are concerned about it? Because I know there has been a lot of people thinking that this will kill single crew or single player, solo player experiences, and that it will scare away the casual gamer. What are your thoughts on that sort of ideas, those sorts of things?
I think it's going to scare away the person who was never on board with the idea of what Star Citizen is intended to be by Chris Roberts, for sure. But I also think that it's going to kind of revitalize the idea of individual gameplay, because there are people who don't have an Idris, who don't have a Constellation, and just want to go around, do bounty targets, go to UGFs, and shoot bad guys. And now it's going to be very difficult to justify getting to a Constellation-sized ship or an Idris and taking it out to do those. So small ships are going to see their niches, people are going to grow to love them, and they're going to want to find a way to use them against these bigger ships because they grow attached to their ships.
So you think it's going to help solo gameplay rather than hurt it?
To a degree, yes. It's going to still be, if you're going for PvP, I do think fighters are going to probably, unless they define them better and give them better roles and do stuff with PDCs, etc., I think it's going to favor bigger ships in PvP, anything that can't be targeted by PDCs, which is bigger-ish ships, because even Cutlasses currently get targeted. So that's going to be on CIG at that point, with how things go for the PvP department. And PvE against capital ships, we'll also see when we start seeing more of that, I think, as well.
So, safe to say you think that this game will become better improved with engineering?
Improved, yes, because I think it's what's been missing as a regards of, how do you say, restricting the, as you dub, solo polo activity.
I didn't call it solo polo. The members of the leagues called it called it solo polo, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you think that this will actually cause more people to multi-crew ships? Like, do you think this is going to require people on like large capital ships to have crew now?
Require? No. But make it easier to get things done and not have to stop your interest in the middle of the void, hop out, run down to engineering, fix this, replace a fuse, all that. Especially when you're in a system like Pyro, because that's going to be something else to think about. Is that the more lawful and defended the systems are, you're going to be able to stop and get repairs and basically be able to bounce your way through and not have much of an issue because you're not in danger in theory if the crime and order system. That's another thing. But if you're in Pyro and you take damage, you want a crew. In Stanton, you might be able to get away with a skeleton crew. In Pyro, you couldn't. And it means that different systems have different gameplay with engineering.
Okay. Any other thoughts on engineering alleviated to alleviate concerns? Because I know there's a lot of folks that think this is just going to turn away new players entirely who just won't want to be involved with the game because it requires too much thinking. Um, what are your thoughts on that sort of issue around engineering?
I I don't see it as an issue personally because I see the idea of once again selling the idea of Star Citizen as more than just a fly ship shoot gun game because that's more people that you can encourage to enjoy the game or bring with you that otherwise would not have gotten into the game at earlier points of development. Because I personally, in different circles I'm in, know people who are like, I've watched Celine play that. I've watched Christy play that. I love watching them play, but I could never do that. I don't want to fly a big spaceship or shoot a big gun. But they're like, I would love to like work on the spaceships. I would love to repair ships, move cargo. I'm like, you can do that. With the engineering, it makes it even more viable to have a crew. So there's new blood that wouldn't have gotten the game that this can bring in, and the people are going to be dissuaded, probably would have been dissuaded regardless with 1.0 and beyond.
All right. Any other thoughts or comments before we move on to the next guest?
Um, if anything, I think engineering is going to probably be the most divisive thing we've seen in a minute because there is so much that people want it to be. There's so much that it won't be able to be, especially at the beginning. And there's so much that CIG has promised. So I think as a community, it's going to probably look a little chaotic for a bit. But I think it's going to be what finally brings more people together and encourages communities to start bonding in a way more than just flying around in a bunch of smaller ships. And it's going to bring players to do things that we haven't seen before, hopefully, and encourage new ideas. I don't know what those will be, but I'm glad to see what will come of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your thoughts there, Jacaro. Is there anything you
Mhm.
want to plug or any thing you do on your own? I know you make games, but is there anything?
Nothing at the moment that I'm doing that I would want to plug. Just kind of working on some small. I'm actually working on one thing for Star Citizen currently in the background as my time allows, which is I'm working on basically like a system of flashcards for like a small web app where people can go through and learn the ship silhouettes. Because I know all the ship silhouettes because I've been playing since 2016,
Okay.
but new players have no clue what I mean when I say, hey, that's a freelancer, hey, that's a Corsair. And so I've been working on that in my free time, making flashcards from different angles using the SC Wiki pictures of ships.
Nice. Awesome. Well, looking forward to that. Thank you again.
Yep. Hmm.
All right. Next, we've got Steve the Dancer. Hey there, Steve. If you're trying to speak, I can't hear you.
Okay.
There we go.
So I've been watching your show for a very long time. I know you probably know me as the person to ask a ton of questions.
Yes. Welcome, Steve. It's good to hear you in person. Hear you in person at the very least. You often comment on a lot of the videos too, so I'm sure a lot of folks who watch this regularly probably know your name. So same question, just your general thoughts on engineering. Now that we've had the tech preview out last week, did you get a chance to play that tech preview?
I did. I did.
Okay, so your thoughts in general on that experience as well as the gameplay loop as a whole.
I was hoping more for, I don't know which patch it was, but many, probably a couple years now ago, that you could actually control the components by percentages.
Huh.
And that's no longer there. That it's now pretty much what we have now, which is you just have the boxes and that's all you have for engineering. But as it's, I feel it's really important part of the game to for the small fighters are now going to have to worry about their components, and they might not be so meta anymore. But the large ships are also going to become weaker by this because we all know all these large ship owners are just soloing their big capital ships, and they might have to deal with fighters a lot more commonly.
So you think it's going to improve or require more people to group up? Do you think it's its main purpose?
Absolutely. It'll require uh, large orgs are probably going to have a group just for engineers now, and they're going to have engineering training. I hope that they put the silhouette of the ship on a Moby glass so that people could call out, "Hey, yo, this component needs to be fixed," instead of this one engineering terminal and that person running to one place that could be halfway across the ship. I just hope that that comes to be.
Now, what do you think about people who say that this is going to like kill the game, hurt the game? It's going to drive away players or drive down engagement. Do you think that's going to be the case?
I think that it's a two-edged sword that a lot of people who love their solo gameplays and they buy their private servers are going to either have to stick to a small ship and not do their big ship joyrides that they do or their missions. And so it's going to hurt and possibly help the MMO play style that CIG really wants to kind of hammer in on.
Do you think they're like what do you think the future of this game? Because you've actually had a chance to play it. Do you think it's going to evolve from what we've seen before? Like, do you think the idea that you mentioned earlier, the idea that you can have percentages for each component, you think stuff like that might come back in, considering this is just the first implementation of it?
Well, that would kind of go against their statement saying that military components are going to be able to give you a lower usage of IR and electromagnetism as scannable. So if you give those percentages back, that could counterplay that whole aspect that they're trying to sell for better stealth and military based components. As in the future of the game, I really enjoy it because I'm one of those guys that just love to sit in the co-pilot saying, "Hey, I'll manage your shields. You just fly the ship and I'll tell you when one shield face is going low and just press those buttons for you." I'm one of those people. So I'm not the pilot guy. I'm not the coordinator guy. I am the pretty much the minion guy that people just love to say, "Yeah, go ahead, jump in a seat, use those weapons, or just help me out here."
I am muted. My bad. I muted so that we couldn't, so people wouldn't hear me typing a little things like that. So, last question. You said specifically that more people. This would sort of get a new. Oh gosh, what was it? Like a gameplay loop. Like this is going to create a gameplay loop. There have been people who've said that they don't think that people want to be an engineer, that they want to be a captain. They want to be the commander of their ship, that there's not enough people who actually want to crew ships, and most people want to just fly their own ships themselves. So do you think that's true when it comes to engineering? Do you think engineering is going to end up kind of exposing that more people want to be a captain and not necessarily run around and fix things?
I would ask you, I would ask this point is that if a friend asks you to go out with them to a restaurant or a coffee house to just have a chat with you or bring up ideas, or a person calls you to bounce ideas off of what's going on in their life, is the world just the people who want to make a point and need to express things, or are there other people out there that just like to listen? And I think there's a lot more people out there who loves to listen, and that means that it's the experience. You've had them. I've had them. Those crazy ideas that you went out there and it's like, I'm never going to make this jump. And you make the jump and you do the things, and it makes a memory that we could take with us forever. And if you just want you, those memories won't be as strong because everyone else are going to bring that up to you and make that real.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about? Engineering? Anything you want to plug or anything like that?
I do have to disagree with the idea that they've added diagnostics to the pilot, and I'm like, I feel that should have been in the engineering panel, but
Okay.
hopefully they move that because you could control pretty much everything from there, and that's kind of defeats the purpose of the engineering panel.
It feels like that might be just a holdover from the fact that solo ships, like fighters, need to have that diagnostics. So it's just easier for them to slip that into the pilots for every ship rather than having to like duple it over, though. But that feels like a oversight, they had to do it in ships, so they just put it for all the pilot ship rather than like, oh, only these ships get it. But I think you're right. They probably should just dupe it so that at least the engineering crews also have that too. All right. Well, thank you so much there, Steve. Good to hear you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next, we've got Alex. I'll bring Alex in.
Well, here we go.
There we go. So same question as everybody else. Your thoughts on engineering, just in general. First of all, did you have a chance to play the preview?
The tech preview? Wait,
Yes.
is the tech preview? Is the engineering tech preview open to public yet?
No, it's an EPTU. But it was open earlier this week. Did you get a chance to play it?
No. I'm not Evocati. I wish I was, but I'm not.
Okay. So just in general, your thoughts on engineering.
Simply put, the game is changing and the game is becoming a game. It is finally the first big step toward a type of gameplay that allows for more diversity. Not everybody has to be on a turret. Not everybody wants to be on a turret. Not everybody wants to fly. Not everybody wants to coordinate. No, not everybody wants to do everything. Some people literally just want to be along for the ride. And I will say straight up, of the dozen or so people that I brought into this game, only 2 of them, I'm one of them, want to be in the captain's seat. Everybody else wants to be on a turret. They want to jump down on the planet and do FPS. They want to run around, do engineers. I've literally got a guy that's called out and said, I'm going to be on the front turret gun of whatever ship that you're in, and you can pull me out, and I'll just you can pull me out to shower once a month, and I'll just use the coolant to bathe most of the time.
Now, to back you up on that, like I know multiple people who are content creators, or like they were content creators, but they stopped doing it. And they hang out with a lot of other content creators who ended up getting involved in Star Citizen, and almost all of them have been like, "I can't fly worth a damn. Just give me a gun and tell me to go shoot somebody." And it's like,
Hey.
So like that number of people, I imagine there's at least that number of people who like, give me a wrench, I'll go hit something, kind of thing. So.
Literally yes. That and for those people, the gameplay has not existed. I think people are going to find that they have a lot of friends who will come back to the game literally because they can now hit your power plant with a wrench.
All right. Now, what do you think about the people who are concerned about engineering being too complex and making the game so complex that it will scare away new players or solo players from playing, because now it's so, you have to do so many different things to even like play the game?
That is going to be more down to CIG figuring out how to introduce players to the system than anything else. I can see them the big importance of a starting ship is to give someone a starting point where they can start figuring these things out, and they'll sit there long enough to learn it before they move on to a ship where engineering is going to truly matter.
Okay.
So like, is it a concern? Kind of. But I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to more fall in love with their ship, because every ship now is going to act differently. It's going to have a pulse, a heartbeat. And so it's going to be something that you learn. You're going to learn how to fly your ship. You're going to learn how your ship acts. And because of that, you're going to get more attached.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
Naval combat is here. Welcome to the game, boys.
Thank you so much for coming, joining us again there, Alex.
Have a good one, Paul.
All right. Next, we've got Commander Shadowstalker, who I'll bring in. Hey, Shadowstalker, how you doing?
There we go. Howdy.
So, same question as everybody else. Your thoughts on engineering?
So, I'm cautiously enthusiastic with what I've heard regarding the tech preview.
Okay. Elaborate.
So, largely, I've basically done a lot of backflipping to avoid the hard NDA content, but what I've heard regarding the fires, regarding repairing components on the fly, it feels a lot further along, a lot more complex than I think I and a lot of the community was expecting. And it's like definitely a lot more than just a tier 0.
So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
So, I think that's a good thing. I think ultimately, because Chris's vision is World War II in space, that means DCS teams, that means people running around frantically when shit hits the fan, but also like a lot of sitting around doing menial maintenance while you're traveling to location.
So, so more stuff to do in between trips.
Things to do while in transit, basically, instead of just sitting in a turret or sitting in a chair or sitting in your fighter waiting.
Okay. But as I said, I know a lot of folks are concerned that this might kill the experience for new players or for solo players. Do you think that's a legitimate concern with engineering?
It depends. Like, new players aren't going to be jumping into a Carrack, or at least they shouldn't be, as the pilot seat anyway, or owning the Carrack from the ground, from starting on the ground floor, basically. But like, I think the main concern is not so much the engineering itself, it's more when it hits live. Because like, no matter how much CIG does to actually prepare the servers, the game, it's going to break things. And depending on how close to Squadron 42 launching, this may actually make or break Squadron 42.
No, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Was
And I hate to be the wet blanket on this one.
Yeah, because one of the things that I've constantly been, what was clear from the people who've done engineering or who participated in it was that it's really good and it's game changing, but it's also not finished yet, and it's going to take a while for it to get all the bugs worked out and to get released. So I've heard people say like 6 to 9 months, but like 9 months away is in the ballpark of Squadron 42 release.
To Squadron 42 launching.
So, yeah, that's and there's going to be a lot of features that come in next year, hopefully.
Mhm.
And we all know that features are destabilizing. They're going to destabilize the builds and make it harder to play. So, that's interesting.
Yep, there's gonna be new people that when Squadron 42 hits, or they see the news about Squadron 42, and they're like, "That's cool. I want to play it now."
Yeah.
And somebody says, "Well, you can play pretty much this in Star Citizen." That's going to draw people into the game. And if the game is presently on fire,
All right.
yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think that's a good point. How about long term? Do you think long term it's going to drive participation away from the game or drive it towards the game?
I'm going to couch this with how much do you know about Minecraft?
A lot. Not as much as I used to, but a lot.
Okay, so you know about Minecraft. You know how people will go into Minecraft, build themselves computers within computers.
Yeah.
They bring in all kinds of crazy mods, build nuclear reactors, that sort of stuff. I see it as as similar to that, where it's bringing in more complexity, a more refined system to the game that's going to draw in people that are more interested in the technical aspects, maybe less interested in the dogfighting, maybe less interested in the fleet battles, that the fleet battles are kind of like dressing on top of the salad, so to speak.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about regards to engineering?
Not really. I think I've covered everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, Shadow Stalker. Good to hear you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So the next one, we've got a couple more people. The next one I saw was Jock Cop. So, or no, it was Zark. I'll ask Zark to come on. We got about 3-4 more people. I'll have Zark, then I'll have Jock Cop. Hey, Zark.
Hey there, Paul.
So, same as question as everybody else. Your thoughts on engineering?
So, it's a bit like when they announced server meshing. Because, okay, the newer players might not understand this, but like server meshing, engineering has been this white whale.
Mm-hmm.
Rumored to be existing, and we have never seen it. We all wanted to hunt it. So, yeah, for now I'm just enjoying the myth coming to life. Aside from that, I'd say it's very, very necessary that we get engineering. Simply because it is a necessary balancing tool. I might even go so far as to say that without engineering, you cannot balance the game. And that's a huge issue we see, especially currently with one-person addresses, with PDCs, with the issue about of fighters outclassing hammerheads, all those wonky things. But with engineering coming in, at least as far as I can tell from what I have seen so far, you have the issue that the larger the ship, the more crew you're highly recommended to take, because the more issues can pop up. And it might very well be that shooting the railgun on an Idris might push an energy spike that could easily add a fire if you don't prepare the coolants or something.
That is one thing that I saw point out specifically, was that like everything generates heat, and heat spikes will cause fires. So like, and even atmosphere is one of those things where like if you try to drain all the atmosphere out of your ship, then everything will get heated up, even if you run your coolers, and your coolers cost power too. So you'll have to like manage your power around that. So yeah, it's a good point.
Exactly. And sure, you can still solo your Idris, but once you shoot your railgun and half the ship is on fire, that's it. So you better make sure you don't miss.
Yeah, because you have then you
on the
are the
other
only
hand-
person. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't run around and fight
And
those fires.
on the other hand, we have the single seaters, which have been very effective so far. Very rarely that you have multi-crew ships competing with them in anything. But as they have less armor, can't really repair themselves, have less redundancy, one stray shot from a ballistic Gatling might just kill your power plant. And considering the amount of bullets such a Gatling can spew, it's very easy to be happening. So there we have the issue, the option to deal with the issue of two strong single seaters. And that's kind of the whole thing with the balancing.
Okay. Now, same question with that I've been asked anybody else about the there's been concern that this will kill solo gameplay or drive new players away because it's going to add too much complexity or take too much time. Do you think it's a valuable concern, or do you think it's actually true or not?
So I think there are three ways to look at this. The first one is, like you say, like many other people say, many of us long-term backers say, just buy the starter pack, buy an Avenger, buy a Cutlass, you're fine. And if you're only at the stage where you have a Avenger, you have a Cutlass, engineering does not really interest you really that much because it's not yet relevant for you. And I do not think that those smaller ships that are intended for solo play are in any way, shape, or form too complex to learn. It's pretty simple. I mean, the complexity with engineering stems from the size of the ship more than the complexity of the system itself.
So you're saying because
No.
your average kind of starter player or solo player is going to be using a smaller ship, it won't concern as much?
Yeah, I mean, what do you want to do with the Aurora in terms of engineering?
Yeah,
There is nothing to do there.
you might have to repair
Um,
your components every so often, but yeah.
Yeah, but even then, you land in your hangar, you click repair components or let the service crew in, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there will be options to mitigate your interaction with the engineering gameplay. Now, on the other hand, we have people that want to be the captain on their solo javelin and wreak havoc everywhere and want to be the king of the hill. They are driven away, and I'm not sad about this.
So what you're saying is there are people who are going to be driven away, but those people you don't like in the game anyways.
Yes, and those are the people that never bothered to actually double check what Star Citizen is. I mean, I know it's a bit niche, but there is this rumored description that Star Citizen might be an MMORPG, hinting to a social game where you have to play with people. But that's just a rumor I've heard.
Okay.
The more, I don't want to say concerning because that's putting too much weight onto it. But we do have quite a few people interested in military gameplay. That they want to drive their Polaris, they want to create a Polaris, they want to go with the Perseus when it's coming around this month. And they might be overwhelmed because all of a sudden it's not I fly in the captain's chair, I have two people in the turrets, we go. Now you have to find someone dealing with the engineering stuff, with components failing. So I'd say the reality of the Citizen having depth hitting them. This might be a true issue that arises, but I don't think those people will leave. Either they will refocus, and instead of bringing a Polaris, they will bring a Perseus. Maybe instead of a Perseus, they go down to a Paladin because it's easier in terms of engineering. maybe they say, oh, maybe mining is more interesting. For example, I'm one of those players. I do love combat, and I will for surely go and do some of the fleet battles. But I know as well that I and many of my orcs, we aren't all that deep into it. So we are more of a casual, all-rounder organization. So I also focus in terms of ships more on the industrial side, where I might not have to deal with combat damage or engineering during combat scenarios,
Yeah.
which also lessens the impact of the system and reduces its complexity.
Yeah, that's. I think it's an important thing to notice as well. Is that like this really mostly focuses on combat. There is wear and tear that you have to maintain, and obviously combat is a feature of the game. But if you avoid combat, you can avoid most of these issues as long as you are preemptive with your gameplay. So.
I mean, an engineer will be valuable even on an industrial ship. For example, if you have the Arastra, the huge mining ship from
you're gonna have to
RSI,
manage that heat. Yeah.
you would like someone to manage the heat, but if you don't have someone, you could go into a preset that just reduces all other energy consumptions, overclocks the coolers, and then you don't need someone to manage this. Just swap the preset.
All right. Anything else you want to say before we move on?
Not really. I think that's the main part to engineering. I'm just curious when it will release because it seemed very finished.
Yeah.
Considering that it's kind of the base of everything else that we will see next year in terms of crafting and so on.
I do think that there's definitely some of that to it because like it is such an important gameplay loop to have. It is the first major feature after something like Vulcan, which isn't really as much of a feature as much of as it is a requirement for the game to run better. But it is one of those things that they acknowledge is really important for them to put in for a lot of different gameplay loops. So like I've been saying 6 to 9 months because it's still going to take a while.
Probably.
But I also wouldn't be surprised if CIG was tempted to put it in sooner because they have it mostly working rather than wait till it's fully fleshed out. So
I kind of think that they have an internal roadmap targeting spring just so they can bring engineering in, bug fix the hell out of it for the fleet strike group mission they want to bring in summer.
Yeah, it's almost guaranteed that they want it before the strike groups. So,
and I just want to add something because I've just read it in chat. Someone saying that they backed when it started, and people always dreamt from soloing the capital ship. And yeah, I have to agree. There were always people that had this dream of I solo my javelin, but from day one, CIG said capital ships are not intended to be flown alone.
Yeah, they talked about NPC crews, and I will add that is that like the CIG has said that NPC crews were part of the solution to that problem. They always said that NPC crews wouldn't be optimal, and as of recently, we also know that NPC crews aren't coming until after 1.0. So
yeah, and if I'm honest, the whole NPC crews always felt more like, okay, community wants it, and it would be cool to have companions, like 1 or 2 or 3. But even then, they were clearly stating, if you fly a capital ship, that's something an orc does, not a single player. And engineering is pretty much the first step towards this, and those people already being scared of engineering, wait until the service costs, the returning costs on wear and tear come in. Those things, if you bring out the Idris, it might just bankrupt you.
All right. Let's move on. Thank you for coming on there, Zark. Let's move on to the next person. Jock Cop, I'll bring you on. Hey, Jock, good to see you again. I thought you said you weren't going to be here. So
Yeah, well, first things first, quick call check, Nick. Are you okay? I'm on a bit of a makeshift thing. Can you hear me okay?
yeah, I can hear you good.
Cool. Oh, yeah, I'm away at the moment, but, I just kind of want to talk about engineering, so I made it happen.
Well, hit it up. What's your thoughts on engineering?
Well, first up, I did manage to get in the test. I was in for about 4 or 5 of the 6 hours. Boys and girls, it's here. It is here and it's not going away. It is pretty good. Um, in terms of what it means going forward, I do think it is big. Some people it's going to affect them more than others. I think it's going to affect multi-crew people and solo people. I think it's quite nuanced. It's going to affect them both negatively and positively. In terms of what I saw in the actual playthrough, it was good. It does need polishing. It does need bug fixing. It's a bunch of features, but I mean it's evil, and that's always going to be evil. Especially with a big feature like this. But it's I don't know. It just speaking with people who did the test as well, it just hit right. I don't know. I don't know if I can really quantify it better than that. It just felt good. It felt like, oh no, this is what we've been missing.
So the vibes were immaculate, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they felt good. Clearly, it's not ready. And I'll get it. I'll put it out in front of you right now. My guess is first quarter next year. I think towards the end of March. But yeah, it is going to bring in some changes that some people are going to rally against. People rally against change, regardless whether it's good for them or not. People rally against things that are clearly good for them because that's just our nature, and and that's how we are as people. But and if the Star Citizen community is taught to do things, they love a good good complaining session about something, anything. So there's going to be pushback. What I would say to people is that if you're a solo player, you can go and solo play. I don't know why people think that because someone in their Javelin, needs to do maintenance, that somehow that's going to affect you in your Gladius. Like, there will always be a case where you'll be able to log in the game, go to your hangar, get in your single seat fighter, take off, take a mission that is basically fly to this point, fight people, and come back, land in the hangar. If you want to press, auto repair for the hangar, whatever it is, maybe down the line that'll cost more and take more time, whatever. But if you don't want to be that engaged with it and you want that solo combat experience, it's not going away. It will mean that if you are a person who is currently soloing a Polaris, hovering on top of a point of interest and just cackling while no one can do anything, your life's going to change. And for the better. I would say quite a few people have brought up, seen it as well, anecdotally. A lot of people bring up this idea that people want to be the captain or people want to be the pilot. I think you have to examine group dynamics, and you see why that's not the case. Lots and lots of people, and you find there's a lot in outside of gaming and lots of people. Lots of people want to be in group play, we'll call it. They want to be part of a group, but they don't want to be the focus. And if you're a pilot, you're the focus. Because if you mess up, if you're the person that puts the Polaris into the side of the space station, that's a lot of focus on you. People don't want to be the captain because that's a lot of focus. That's a lot of people look at you going, so what should we do? And you're like, well, I don't know. I'll just turn up. So a lot of people want that group play dynamic, but they don't want to be the focus of attention. And that's perfect for people who they want to be the engineer, they just want to be a tower. I just want to be a marine. They just want to do their bit of gameplay. So I really do reject the idea that there's there's going to be a mass abandonment of people because people only want to captain their ships. I do think that we will see not an abandonment. I think we will see people gradually shift their fleets towards into that kind of sweet spot of the medium large 3 to 5 people everyday daily driver types, the Corsairs, the Constellations, this kind of thing, the Asgards. Because I think what's going to happen is your capitals, your Polarises, your NGCs are going to turn into your once in a while treat. They're going to turn into the once a week org play we'll wheel out old Bessie, on the
Yeah.
Saturdays, a special treat thing, and you're going to go out with some friends. It's gonna, if you take into account how much it's going to cost just to run them, and like at the moment, and there isn't the mission reward really. There isn't any capital based gameplay. That is, I know they mentioned on monthly reports that they're making capital missions essentially. But at the moment, there isn't any missions that generate enough credits that we can justify taking a Polaris out or an interest out.
That's a completely different issue as well. Of
Yeah.
CIG rewarding multi crew gameplay.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's complicated because you've got multiple people on board. How does the reward scale to they split amongst them? Is it if it's your ship, do you get more? You're the captain. It's complicated. So I think I would say to people who haven't had the chance to try it yet, don't wait till you get a chance to try it. Judge for yourself. If you're not going into combat, I would say do not worry. If you're a reclaimer owner, if you're an Erasure owner down the line, something like that, as long as you're not bumbling into pyro and parking outside of and inviting stuff to be attacked, I don't know if it's gonna um affect your gameplay really. It's just a regular maintenance thing. Now, some people are gonna find that tedious, and that can't be helped. But I like the idea. I've got a vision of like on a Sunday morning going out, logging into the game, getting out each of my ships one by one, doing like a Sunday morning wash, taking away the wear and tear, checking components, checking the fuel, kind of making sure it's got enough ammo, it's got enough batteries for things packed away, and then putting away, and just having a Sunday morning, just detail on my ships, and that means that kind of indicates what a sad life I have. But that is my vision of like happiness essentially. So, I think that's that'd be my message overall. I guess is that it is going to change the game, and it may be you come out the other end and don't like it. But if you're not, if you're just going to toot along in your Gladius, it's not really going to affect you that much. And like, you shouldn't really. This is always where we were headed. This was always the plan.
Mhm.
You were never gonna. You were never supposed to be able to take on a Hammerhead in your Gladius. You were never supposed to solo, a Polaris in your Vanguard. And it's been that way for so long that people kind of just got comfortable with it. But that was never the idea. And I think it may be painful to do this transition because it is going to be a big change. But I think, yeah, I think we're going to come out the other side of it much closer to what we all imagined what the game was going to be. Even.
So there's some people bringing up in the chat, and I want to hear your thoughts on it, because some people are saying it's not necessarily the issue with capital ships as much as it's the issue with like a Constellation or a Corsair. Like, how is this going to like? Because there's a lot of folks who solo those ships now. Is this going to affect those ships' crew, like those ships' owners, where like now they just can't use their large or medium ships?
Well, you can use them. I mean, nothing. I mean, technically, nothing. There's no law that says you can't get into any ship of any size, turn the engine on, and fly off. But obviously, it's going to be checks and balances. Like, if I think it's always going to be, it's the more effective. You can always fly the ships. They're going to be more effective, not like non-effective, just more effective for more people. So I think as well, the other thing that people need to remember is that we're not going to be exploding as much.
Okay, that's true.
Like the ships aren't just going to randomly explode every time. Like you will get disabled far more, so you'll give you that opportunity to run back and to kind of be able to start doing some repairs and stuff like that. So I think it's wait and see as well. I don't think CIG is going to abandon those medium and large ships because as I said before, I think those are the future. Because let's face it, the average play session is yourself and what 3-4 buddies, and you're on for 2-3
Yeah.
hours.
And that's CIG seems to be their sweet spot is 3 to 4 people for 2 to 4 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's some great ships. You mentioned the Corsair, the Constellation, and stuff like that. They kind of really lean towards that, and I don't think CIG is going to make it so those things are just not usable. It'll get balanced. I think if you have, say, you've got a Corsair and you have 3 buddies, a pilot, an engineer, a cover gunner, and I think really is all you need.
All right.
And then I think but
I,
it's to summarize, I'm looking forward to it.
you're looking forward to it? Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jakob.
anytime.
All right, move on to the next person, which I think is James. So James, I'll pull you up. I'm gonna have James Ryback, and then let's see who this is. So I have streamer mode on, so it shortens all of the names and such. And then Austin, and then lastly Citizen Dex. Pull you up, James. There you go.
Good
Welcome.
afternoon, Paul.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Trying to play this weekend.
Good luck. For this, the game's better than it was when this patch launched, but it's still got problems. It's got some big problems.
Yeah.
So, topic of the day: engineering. Your thoughts on it in general. First off, did you get a chance to do the preview?
So I did.
Okay.
I'm probably one of the, as far as I've seen and heard, other people talk about it.
Mhm.
I'm probably one of the few people that actually had a group to do it. So we
Okay.
had 7 people get on to do it. My thoughts on it is I both love it and I hate it at the same time.
Okay.
Cautiously optimistic that they'll get it fixed, but I don't know. So the first thing that we did was we hopped on in Idris, or no, I'm sorry, not in Idris, Polaris. There was 6 of us on the Polaris and 1 guy in a Hornet. It did not go the way of the Polaris.
Okay.
Now, obviously, engineering or armor's not in yet, but still, that doesn't really, change flight geometry or the geometry of the, the fight.
Yeah.
He was able to nail our power plant pretty much about 50% of the time at about a kilometer. And there was 4 of us trying to keep it up and we couldn't. That was the big issue. So hopefully when armor comes in, that helps us. But at the same vein, for me, whenever I look at it like, if I can't kill him and he can't kill me, then why do I have 6 people on this ship, right?
Yeah.
So
So it's a blessing and a curse. We're like, yeah, you're not gonna get completely wrecked by a Hornet, but you're also not gonna be able to do much against that Hornet.
Right. Because, and that was where engineering really fell short for me, was whenever we looked at, like power distribution and adding power to weapons and stuff like that, it just did what it does now. It didn't add anything to it. And that was really, really my big issue with it, was adding more people to the ship doesn't add to number one, if we're going to talk in RPG mechanics, it doesn't add to the damage output of that ship. It just adds to it in another way.
Okay. So basically that sounds like it's like a balance issue.
No, it's a huge balance issue.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, Lo, I'm of the opinion that this is going to have to happen, because we've been yelling and screaming about turrets for, 10 years now, and they haven't done anything about it. And they just keep saying, wait for armor, wait for armor, wait for armor. And it's like, that armor's not going to do what you think it's going to do. And I think this has to happen, and it has to kill capital ships outside of PvE for them to actually go, oh, we actually have a problem. We need to do something about it. So I am cautiously optimistic.
All right. What are your thoughts on the subject that people have been saying that this is going to kill solo play and drive people away from the game?
Absolutely not. So the solo ships, so like your fighters in your just regular run of the mill solo ships, it doesn't do very little. As a matter of fact, it actually adds to them when you take into consideration that they die in about the same amount of time they do on live right now, with the caveat of now I can reboot those systems and get back into the fight, right? It's how they do their tutorial on it will ultimately, that'll live and die by that with new players, but I don't think it's going to kill solo play. And as far as like industrial play and stuff like that go, it's not going to kill that either, because you're going to have a lot of time to react to those in those certain situations. Probably is going to add a lot more to it.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about with engineering in general?
No, I think that was it. I just wanted to give my 2 cents on it.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming in and giving your thoughts, especially those of you who've been coming in who are actually experience with it to help kind of set some context for it. I actually will ask you one more question because of what Jock Cop said. Do you feel like the vibes are good with this? Like this is a good baseline for what they're doing, or do you think like this is just like they need to overhaul the whole
No,
thing?
it is really, really good. I know there was some problems with like the screens were hardly readable. There was, a lot of oh god, I can't talk. Legibility issues there. But the UI, I really liked it. It's a very, very good baseline, and I hope that they don't just throw it out the window and try to do something else, because it was really, really good. There's just those balance issues and growing pains that they're going to have to learn.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James. All right. Next, we've got Ryback. I'm going to bring Ryback on. Ryback, good to hear you.
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you. So,
Right, that's great.
question as with everybody else, your thoughts on engineering. First off, did you play the tech preview?
Yes, I did. And I was able to play for a couple of hours. I stayed very long to actually have that chance. In the UK, that's a pain to actually get on any test server at the time, but I managed to. And I like how everybody calls it cautiously optimistic and they don't want to put any negatives on it. And I'm one of these people that would say cautiously optimistic about the whole thing. But I got some points that are annoying as hell to me, at least. Basically, when I started testing this thing, I always try to set up a baseline for a test to see how the things go, either better or worse for the next item I'm testing. So I pulled three ships first. So that was the Arrow, the Hornet F7A, and the Lightning. So I wanted to see what's going on with them in general with this engineering stuff. First of all, none of them have any components. So basically you can't really do anything about that. But I started going through the power settings, and that was something really annoying. You can't power these ships up completely, which is something that I think the balancing of the components will have to address heavily. I would have to emphasize that, because at this point, who the hell builds a ship that cannot be powered? It's like it's a flawed logic from the CAG at this point. That's my opinion, actually. But yeah, so that was one of the things that I've noticed straight away, that this is an issue. The second thing, the UI for the fighters, the single seaters, is atrocious. It's an absolute nightmare. First of all, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a bug with the coolers. The coolers are turning themselves off randomly.
Yes, I've heard
you
about
don't
that.
even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't even know that because the UI is hidden. So you have to scroll to the right with this damn thing
Yeah.
to see that the coolers are not working. That is a complete flaw in the logic of this whole design. But well, we'll just skip that in general.
Okay.
I like the sound cues when you actually get this, something's overheating, something's a problem. You have to start thinking about it, looking for it, and trying to remedy the issue. But I like that. But the problem with the whole general concept of the UI is really annoying, because I don't know why CAG is trying to like put everything into those little two screens in front of you. You see, you have to focus on one of these. You don't have the keys to do that anymore. That doesn't work. And instead, you could actually get this pop up on your main screen, like in general. Fill up the screen. You don't have to have this animation of scrolling, holding F and getting like zoom in, then side scrolling the whole MFD. This is really annoying, especially in the single seater when you're in the middle of combat of some sort. So yeah, I had some weird issues with the single seaters, like losing power in the middle of flight and stuff like that. That was really annoying. I don't think those are ready yet. I think that's T0 of a T0 implementation, if such a thing exists. But the second thing I wanted is something that these actual engineering stuff will be more involving the player interaction, not just pressing the button to kill something and that's it.
Mhm.
I was hoping for some sort of a mini game, like I don't know if you've ever played the Star Trek Elite Force 2.
I haven't.
Have you ever played that game?
No.
Now, there is a very, very good little game for the tricoder where you have to set up certain parts to allow power to flow properly. You know, like just basic mini game from multiple different MMOs probably. I would like to see something like that to reroute the powers in the ship so you could actually move it or just do something with it. Just like in episode 1 of Star Wars, just to make it a reference, literally when Anakin tries to pull one side of the pod to the other side of the pod, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that. To be more like player interactive and player involving, not just like, press the button, fire's gone. It's just really, really annoying. I was really hoping that this is going to be something more complex, but that's the fighters. And when I was trying to aim at the F8, trying to kill some components in it, I've noticed that there is literally no hit mechanics on the actual hull itself. So either the ballistics or the energy weapons, they just go through it like there's nothing there. So I'm assuming that's a bug, and I'm assuming this is going to be completely removed when the armor comes in. So hopefully that's going to kick in, and we're going to have something meaningful instead. I've seen some like random placeholder components in ships, so that's getting involved in some way. But I really don't understand why CAG is actually introducing these ships without component access and components in general. That's a big no-no for me. And but those are the ships, the single-seater ships, and
Yeah.
then I moved to the larger ones. When I tried the Hercules and the Corsair. The Herc was a really, really weird experience because I played the other one, the previous test for
Yeah.
the, I don't remember the experimental mode
The
when
one
it was there.
Yeah, the one they did with the M2. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was A2 and the Gladius.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. But that was kind of like a good idea in introduction. I was like kind of digging it. And now I'm looking at this screen, which I cannot read at all. I don't know if it's resolution of whatever it is. I had to do some gymnastics in the cockpit to literally zoom in on it to actually be able to read it.
Mhm.
And this is really, again, an annoying part. Don't they actually play this thing? Don't they try to, like look at it before they release something like that? But again, I understand this is a placeholder. We'll see where it actually goes from there. And I'm pretty optimistic that they're going to take the feedback on board and actually rework it to actually make sense. The general concept of rooms, the atmosphere, the air, and everything else, it's actually good. But on the Hercules, it didn't kind of work. And I was absolutely fine with that. And then a friend told me, just take the Corsair out. So I took the Corsair out. And first of all, the bug happened. The coolers went off.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, let's see what happens. And then the power plant kind of caught fire. And I was like, oh, okay, what's next? So I opened the back door. Fire's gone, but the temperature wasn't gone. And I'm like, okay, this is more complex than it actually seems to be. So I started playing with all the things, like lost the power, got stuck in the cockpit. You have to shoot the doors basically to get out. What the hell? Really? No manual release of any sort? But, well, having some fun with that. Then I realized that the fire extinguisher is a kind of like a fake because it doesn't extinguish fire. It just cools down the surface,
Mhm.
which is, okay, I dig it. Okay, let's do it. Then you have this one magic button to fix the component in the cockpit. I can't do it as an engineer, but I can do it as a pilot. What the hell? Really? There's a lot of weird things. The system is in general sound. The concept is there. I can see it working on a large crew ships, but not in a solo ship. Solo ships, they need some more work kind of put into it. The large ships, they would be okay. The people will find a way to actually make them work, but the small ships are in real desperate need of some rethinking of it. I don't know what CH is going to do about that, especially with being so close to the Squadron release. I was expecting this to be much more kind of like fleshed out, if you know what I mean. This is not something that I was hoping to be released in this state, but cautiously optimistic, Paul, I must say. Cautiously optimistic. I hope this is going to be the beginning of a proper journey for that system, really.
So you think they're in the right direction, but there's a lot of problems right now with what they have.
I think that the problems they have is with the concept of them building ships in a specific way. Because this is going to be a nightmare to talk about, but the flight model and all that stuff, basically. Everything is interconnected in this game. Flight model is dependent on the components. Components are dependent on the engineering. And all that stuff kind of intertwines in between. And I think they have different teams working on the similar concept, not talking to each other. It's like flight model people, basically, we need power to this and that. We need access to this and that. Engineering, oh, no, you don't need that, basically. You need something else, basically. That's it. And I don't know. It's like nobody is literally talking to them in general and telling them, you have 100 power. This goes here. This goes there. Whatever goes there. Manage it. And instead, they have like, we're fighting for that power. We're going to give us that. You're going to give us the other one. It doesn't make sense, if you know what I mean. It's just like, I can't see the sense in this. And I'm extremely scared of this being so close to Squadron, and we still don't have a clear vision for this, how it's supposed to work.
Okay.
This is my problem with the Star Citizen, my kind of like back and forth with it. Sometimes it's brilliant. You have these awesome experiences. And sometimes when you delve into it and you think about, what the hell is going on here? And I was hoping the engineering will give me like a little bit of a boost, like, oh yeah, this is it. I can see that. And it's kind of like, okay, I can see that, but it's not there yet.
All right.
Not there yet.
So you were hoping for it to be a little bit more fleshed out and more than you think it is. Okay.
Yes. And have you tried the Nyx?
I have.
On the
Lansky?
Yeah. I looked at it basically today, and it was like, So we got engineering on the preview, then Nyx in here, Levski and everything. It's empty.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, they did say it's going to be empty, but again, it's just, it's a little bit less than I was hoping for. Again, but I've been with this thing for 10 years already, and it's just kind of like, I think I'm just burning out a little bit at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't know how people keep coming back with the optimist mind, thinking about this whole thing being like, yeah, it's all going to be good and everything. But looking at this, it's just not going anywhere. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. Cautiously optimistic. I would call it like that, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your opinions. It's always good to hear people who actually have had their hands on it and to hear different opinions on it. Thanks again, Ryback.
Thank you.
All right. Now we've got Austin, and then lastly, Citizen Dex. Hey, Austin.
Hey, sir. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, let me turn you up a little bit on my end. You're good, though. All right. So starting off, did you have a chance to play?
I did not have a chance to play it. I'm not Evo Cardi, unfortunately.
Okay, so your thoughts on engineering?
So my thoughts on engineering mainly boil down to how it's going to change other aspects of the game that aren't specific to engineering. Like, one of the things that keeps coming back to my head is, a year and a little bit ago, the previous CitizenCon, they talked about how often players reclaim their ships with insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a big reason that happens is if a ship dies out in the middle of nowhere, you kind of just have to go back to a base or a station in order to reclaim it. But now there's going to be a justification that says, hey, unless the ship was slammed into a planet, you can go fix it. And that will give them the opportunity to say, all right, now we can start having shuttle ships, and now we can start having kind of that opportunity in that gameplay, which means insurance will actually have to matter. So you can't just pull ships whenever you want from any station. And I think engineering long term will have that kind of that big consequence, and maybe we might see that sooner than we might expect.
Okay, so you think that it's the engineering's main draw is going to have more of a knock-on effect on other gameplay loops, like things like how long we have our ships for and how insurance will work and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and I also think like engineering also gives a big justification to buff like turret gameplay, which everyone's talked for the longest time that turrets really don't work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that there's the idea that hey, if you have a capital ship and it's getting bombarded and systems are going to get damaged, and you have to be repaired as part of that process, you really, really have to justify the extra crew in that ship. And the only way you can do that is you need to make capital ships or even medium-sized ships far stronger against fighters than they are today, right?
Mhm.
And I think engineering helps give that natural justification to make these systems stronger so that you can have this wide versatility in all these ships, which right now, like, if you have the maneuverability and the firepower, that's enough. And I think it adds to the dynamics of the game a lot because it gives you, just versatility with all these knock-on effects.
All right. So what are your thoughts on people saying like, oh, this is going to kill solo gameplay, this is going to drive people away from the game?
I mean, all changes are going to, drive people away, some people away from the game and bring some people in. I think a caller a little while back was talking about comparing the game to Minecraft, and
Mhm.
I mean, the interconnectedness and the lot of downtime that you have in a game like Minecraft, which is kind of its own universe simulator, where you have to spend hours and hours collecting resources and managing your base and the like. Yeah, that will be true. That's also something that millions of people in more casual gaming spheres do all the time. So yeah, it will kill some people's interest, sure, but it'll also give some people this immersion and verisimilitude that drives them and brings them into the game because hey, everything matters a lot more and it's not just some pretty art asset.
Awesome. Any other thoughts on engineering?
That's kind of my, narrowed down thoughts, and I think the conversations here has been pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Austin.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to the last caller, Mr. Citizen Dex. Citizen Dex is here. I catch Dex when in the middle of doing something else. Well, it doesn't look like Dex is here. Let's speak one more time. Oh, mic problems. Okay.
Oh, wait. Hello?
Hello. Can you hear me?
There.
There we go.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. You're good. All right, Dex.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
It's all right. Your thoughts on engineering. First off, did you get a chance to play the engineering preview?
I did not. I am not an Evo. I
Okay.
wish I were.
So your thoughts?
I am hopeful. Of course, there's always going to be issues, this, that, and the other thing. I don't think it's going to drive people away. I think newer players will definitely have a preference as to what they want to do. I could definitely see that.
Hmm.
There's going to be the newer players who are going to want to do, their solo thing, and that's it. And then there's going to be the newer players who prefer, the group thing. And both are valid as far as I'm concerned. It's just a matter of which you prefer. So I could definitely see that. Of course, everything has to be working and such. I think it could generate a lot of new players too, because of course there's going to be talk about it and that sort of thing. It's got to work at that point. That's always an issue with this game, but
Yeah.
what else is new, right? So, I'm pretty darn hopeful
All right.
for what I'm seeing. It's something I like, that's for sure. I'm excited for it myself. So hopefully
So
someday hands on.
so in general, you think it's a good thing. It's not gonna drive people away from the game.
Oh no, no, definitely not. It's something I've been looking forward to for a long time. And I just like that whole slower paced bit where you get on the ship and you do your thing and all of that. I'm perfectly fine being the guy on the ship, just running around putting out fires or whatever.
Yeah.
That sounds great to me.
Awesome.
You know.
Uh,
So yeah.
any other last thoughts on engineering in general?
Uh, no, it's going to have a lot of knock on. I do agree with other callers that it's going to have a lot of knock on effects for things. Certainly, have a lot of. It's going to affect how you do things and all that kind of thing. You're going to have to plan more. Which of course nobody likes to plan anymore.
Yes.
So of course, there's always going to be that. And I think it will. It's gonna everything affects everything else, right? So it's gonna have an effect on when you're getting your ship. Like every patch, we go through this process of putting stuff on the ship. If you want to put stuff on the ship, I put minimal stuff on the ship, but
Mhm.
either way, you usually do. You have like at least crews and some med pens or something like that. And there's more of that involved now because now, especially on the bigger ships, you might even need whole components, because
Yeah.
God forbid a component goes out on you.
Yes,
So
that is one of
that
the
kind of thing.
things that they will actually just sometimes you just can't repair. A component is dead. You
Mhm,
just can't bring it
exactly.
back. So
Yeah, so now you're going to have to carry spares, and don't even get me started on fuses and everything. So you're going to have like an entire box just of fuses. So that kind of thing.
awesome.
And to me, those are all good steps. So
All right. Well,
we'll,
thank you
we'll
so
see
much.
what happens.
Thanks so much,
Mhm.
Dex.
Thank you.
All right. So that is our show for today. I do want to know y'all's thoughts as well down below if you're watching this after the fact. If you're listening to this onto the podcast format, if you think, you haven't posted well, it's because last week we had our 24-hour captain's table. And while I was going to attempt to put it together as one long audio podcast, it's just too much work. It was not 24, it was 25 hours, and it just wouldn't have been very engaging. But it will be on our YouTube, so if you do want to check it out, you can check out the YouTube. I have it in 3 different parts because YouTube doesn't like videos longer than about 12 hours, especially live streams that are longer than 12 hours. It has problems with like processing those videos. So I had to break it up into 3 parts on YouTube. So you can go check those out. But we did raise over $5,000 for charity for Gamers Outreach. So thank you all for who participated in that. And I will, next week, we'll have our normal show where we're going to bring on people and talk. I do have to get that cast out there, but I know there's a couple people who want to come on, including Mr. Space Tomato. So we'll have a discussion on something. Probably won't be on engineering, but who knows? Thank you for coming on. Thank you to all the callers who came on to have their thoughts. Remember to hit the follow button here on Twitch. Subscribe to us on YouTube, like the video, and hit the bell icon to be notified when these release. Now, sometimes I've heard when you hit the like button, you can also hype, and that hype will actually increase the video in the algorithm. It'll help kind of boost the video's viewership a little bit, especially for people who are watching certain topics. So try that out if it shows up for you, though I don't know if it does show up or not. And yeah, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black.